This is iCastNews.com, live and direct from UN headquarters in New York City. I'm Robin Wallace, and with us in the studio today is Naseem Mahdi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we understand that you have started a campaign with the Ahmadiyya Muslim community just recently as of May. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
After that incident in Times Square in New York, when a person attempted to bomb Times Square, we immediately had a press conference in Press Club Washington, and we condemned this kind of violence, and we spoke very aggressively against any type of terrorism and violence in the name of religion. So we spoke and we gave interviews and we were in the press, and we kept on talking that Islam does not condone any kind of violence in the name of religion. Now we have started a new initiative yesterday that we have started distribution of this literature which says Muslims for Peace, and we are also asking people to go to our website muslimforpeace.org or ask a question on 1-800-WHY-ISLAM.
Now, that was what's most disturbing about that incident in Times Square, where there was a failed car bombing, was what is coined as a, quote, homegrown terrorist, somebody who practices the religion of Islam and then turned radical and was trying to carry out a terroristic attack here on American soil, coordinating with other terroristic cells abroad. How did that strike you as a Muslim? You're Canadian, not necessarily American, but how did it strike you being and living here as a citizen of the West and being a Muslim?
I think this is exactly why we are doing this, because we are worried about the next generation of Muslims. There are 7 to 10 million Muslims in the United States, and perhaps 2 million are youth, and they are being attacked and they are being bombarded with the messages through internet and other means that this is your religious responsibility, being Muslims, that you should damage America, you should attack Christians and Jews. And this is why it is very important for us that we should get out and get all those youth along with us and say that we not only preach that Islam is a religion of peace, we also practice it. Let us get out and tell Americans that Islam means peace and not terrorism, and give them this identity that we have to fight against this terror with peaceful means by telling everybody that Islam does not condone this.
So it seems like you have kind of a twofold problem, if you would, or an issue that a battle that you're facing, which is, number one, the Western or the American perception that Muslims are terrorists. And the second one is that young Muslims, Muslim Americans, are having identity crisis, being swayed and governed into a false sense of what their religion is about.
You are quite right. The poll says that a vast majority of the Americans, they don't trust Muslims. Just recently, somebody very important, he said that all the Muslims are not terrorists, but all the terrorists are Muslims. And this is a very loaded statement, and this shows that how a common American does not or cannot trust Muslims. So we have to change that perception, and that is why Ahmadiyya Muslim community, who believes in Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, who claimed to be the Messiah, has taken upon themselves that we get out and gather all the moderate forces. And we say that vast majority of Muslims living in United States, or vast majority of Muslims all over the world, they are moderates, but they are silent majority. We say get out and speak out and preach peace and practice peace and try to change this perception.
So the silent majority is really Muslims that are for peace.
Yes.
But because it is a silent majority, that message is not being heard
Yeah.
at all. And instead, the more vocal one, which is held by the minority, a small faction of radicals. I think you mentioned just earlier while we were chatting on set beforehand that you used this term, it struck me very poignantly, it was that your religion has been hijacked by a small faction of extremists.
Yes. Just imagine if somebody's loved one is hijacked, is he going to sit idle and silent and do nothing? You do everything and anything to get that person who has been hijacked back home. So if our religion has been hijacked, how can we sit silently and peacefully and say that okay, that is a reality and we should accept it? So every Muslim has this responsibility to get out and bring back that banner of Islam, or snatch back that banner of Islam from the terrorists or the clerics of fanaticism, and bring back to the vast majority of moderate Muslims.
Why is that so important?
Just imagine United States of America without these kind of initiatives. The United States is being attacked on daily basis by different kinds of people from all across the world. And if there are not positive forces, so will you just keep quiet and let that damage continue and those fanatics becoming more and more powerful? No, that is what we want to stop. And the main point is that they are giving this impression to the public that they are the defenders of faith. They are the champions of Islam. In reality, they are not. If they are saying what is totally opposite to Islam and opposite or contrary to the Holy Quran or the teaching of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, so we say, you are not the champions of Islam, you are exploiting Islam. So if we take this philosophy from them, and if we tell them that you have no monopoly on religion, and you cannot do that because you are exploiting it and you are not giving the right interpretation, then they will lose. And then if this campaign goes from one country to another, it's not only the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the United States who is doing it. This is being done in all other countries, in Canada, in the whole European countries, and in Africa, everywhere. And if this movement becomes stronger and stronger day by day, then people will say what our cleric is saying is not right, because it cannot be proven from the Holy Quran.
Now, is that the issue? Is that in some of these countries, people are taking the cleric's word for what the Quran is saying and what the practice of Islam should be?
Yeah.
And so then, therefore, they're being led astray by a small faction of people of whom they trust.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
You know, I normally give the analogy of Christians in the Middle Ages, when the majority of the Christians were illiterate, but they were very religious, and they would listen to their cleric, and they would listen to their minister, who would tell them that you cannot read the Bible, and they were illiterate, and then the Bible was not being translated in different languages. So vast majority of the Muslims cannot understand what is written in the Holy Quran. A lot of them will be able to recite or read in Arabic, but Arabic is not their mother tongue. So the cleric has to tell them what is right and what is wrong. And if a cleric wants to exploit religion for his control and for his political agenda, he can do that. He says, you know, he will tear things out of context and says in the Quran it is said that you go and kill every Christian and Jew. And because they are religious, they will follow. That is why a lot of suicide bombers, they are giving their lives because they are being motivated by them, that this is a religious responsibility. If you go give this life, your life for this purpose, you are going to paradise.